Okay, I say this, right?
Yes.
Good evening. I would like to call this meeting to order. It is now
5:31.
5:31. Roll call,
Yes.
Lawson. Tapia. Okay. Hermes and I. Roll call, okay. Public comments, Ms. Green?
Members of the public may address the board regarding items on the closed session agenda prior to the board's adjournment into closed session. Individual speakers are allowed 5 minutes and public input on each item shall not exceed 20 minutes.
Convention to close session at what time?
5:32.
5:32.
Victoria coming?
Reconvenes to closed session at
6:01.
6:01. Flag salute, Ms. Green.
Okay, we have an honor and a privilege today to have the ASB Student Council from Zephyr Lane. As many of you know, ASB performs a variety of functions. It helps to organize and coordinate school events and outings. It helps to initiate, lead, and carry out community service projects, student activities, fundraisers, and other activities in support of the school. Tonight, we have the student council members from Zephyr Lane. Mr. Beckman and Mr. Foster, can you please come up and introduce your council members?
All right, thank you for being with us this evening. It's a pleasure to announce our student council. All of these students worked very hard on their speeches, and they got up in front of the entire school and gave great speeches with great enthusiasm and confidence. So it's a real pleasure to be able to brag about them this evening. I'd like to welcome up our principal's representative, Ethan Wheeler. Come on up, please. Athletic Director, Ezekiel Herrera. Fire Marshal, Nathan Zuniga. Treasurer, Joshua Garcia. Secretary, Isaac Valadez. Vice President, Sophia Ramirez. And our school president, Hike Ikopian. And they've written a little something to present tonight. So Hike, if you would come on over.
Please stand. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, Fairfax School District Board of Trustees. My name is Heike Kopian, and I am the school president of Zephyr Lane Elementary. Thank you for this opportunity to address the board. I would like to introduce you to my friends who are also part of the Student Council. Our members include Vice President Sophia Ramirez, Secretary Isaac Valadez, Treasurer Joshua Garcia, who is not here, unfortunately, Fire Marshal Nathan Zuniga, Athletic Director Ezekiel Herrera, and our principal's representative, Ethan Wheeler. The Zephyr Lane Student Council takes part in many important activities throughout the school year. These activities will be planned during meetings with Mr. Foster. Once a month, Student Council members will run fun ASB Day activities during lunch recess, such as Foursquare tournaments, pumpkin fall games, and other contests. Student council members are responsible for providing the entire school with valuable information during the Friday rally. Student council members also act as representatives when guests visit our school, such as you guys. It is great to be back at school, and we are looking forward to helping create an awesome year at Zephyr Lane. Who are we?
Mighty Hurricanes.
Okay, we'd like to take this opportunity. We have a little something for you, thanking you for coming and leading us in the flag salute. And we'd like to take your picture and put it on the website. I'll honestly say this is the best part of my job. You guys are our future. I was a history teacher, and you guys did a fabulous job. And I look forward to seeing what you do the rest of the year. I'd like to get the rest of the board, if I could, to come with us and take a picture. Yeah. Yes, I want you guys to talk. Oh, wait a minute. We have one more, and I would like you, sir, to go ahead and come up here, and before we take a picture, we have a little something for you, and we'd like for you to introduce yourself.
Treasurer Joshua Garcia.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Again, Mr. Foster and Mr. Beckman, thank you for all that you do. We really do appreciate you spending that extra time helping our students become future leaders.
Closed session announcements. There is nothing to report. Approval of agenda, September 9, 2021. Do I have a first motion? Do I have a first motion?
Third motion.
Okay, first motion, Tapia, second motion, Lawson. Roll call, Lawson. Cornell. Aye. Tapia,
Aye.
for me tonight. Welcome guests. Welcome guests.
Mrs. Rios, the interpreter just mentioned that he cannot hear you. If you can speak up a little bit louder or
All
bring
right.
the mic closer
Yes.
to you.
And, you know, when you're speaking, you can also, if you want to.
A little bit, yeah, okay. Welcome of the guests, Ms. Green.
Tonight, I would like, I'm happy that we're continuing a Fairfax tradition in presenting an Empowering Employee Award. This award is bestowed upon employees who go above and beyond to contribute to the Fairfax School District, community, and student achievement. Principals and department heads are asked to submit nominations to the superintendent outlining the employees' contributions. Tonight, we honor Jennifer Lujan, 8th grade science teacher and department chair, lead for the Fairfax Junior High. Ms. Lujan couldn't be here with us today, but she has been with the district for 16 years and contributes to a positive school environment. At this time, I would like to ask that Ms. Burkhead please join me at the podium and say a few words about her. And Ms. Lujan, one of the reasons why I chose her, not only does she have a fabulous environment in her classroom was the first classroom I visited in this district. And so I just felt it was, you know, when I saw her name come across, it was fitting since that was the first class I entered. And we have a little plaque. And so just know that since her classroom is right outside the district office door, we'll be presenting to her and when her class is in front of all of her students.
Thank you. So Mrs. Lujan has been at Fairfax Junior High for over 17 years. Since I've been there, she's been the department lead for science department. And we've had teachers come and go, and she's always been a solid one there. Years back, we had a Pittsco lab, which was a very interactive science lab for our students, and she helped head that up and get that running. We're getting ready to start a new Pittsco lab coming soon, and she's helping us to choose the modules to select for that lab. She develops engaging lessons that are investigative for her students and involves them in activities that are fun to learn science and to learn concepts of science. When the next generation science standards were rolling out, she was part of the professional development group that came on board to help us kind of develop what that would look like at the junior high and how we would teach those standards. She was also involved in adopting the new online curriculum Amplify, which is a very interactive curriculum for our students and very investigatory. She builds relationships with her students, is a huge part of their lives, and is also very collaborative with the staff. She's always been willing to go above and beyond to help new teachers as they come in and they begin teaching, and to not only share her ideas and her lessons, but also her resources so that they can participate in the same activities that she does with her students. So we're just truly blessed to have her at Fairfax Junior High.
Thank you. And again, we're going to be presenting this in front of her students, which I think is fitting. And we'll do that on Monday, and we'll make sure we get pictures and post them on our website so everyone can see that.
Public comments, Ms. Green?
Public comment is a time reserved for individuals who may wish to address the governing board regarding a matter that is not on the agenda. If you wish to address the board about an item that is on the agenda, please do so when the agenda item is called. Because issues discussed during public comment are not on the agenda, the board cannot discuss the concern. The board will not engage with speaker during public comment and will not answer any questions presented to them. We kindly ask that individuals speak in a respectful and professional manner to avoid disruption and to ensure the orderly conduct of the meeting in a manner which is consistent with the district's welcoming and professional culture. Those attending via Zoom, click on the raise hand feature in the Zoom platform. Participants will be unmuted during this time to allow for public comments. We ask that you limit your comments to 5 minutes, and the total time for public input on each item shall not exceed 20 minutes. Okay, and President Rios, we do have one public comment. Maritza Pareda.
Marissa?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Maritza Pineda, and I'm speaking on regular public comment because it has nothing to do with the agenda. Whenever you're ready, let me know. Okay, so since now that we have a new superintendent, Ms. Green, and that she will be assisting Ms. Rios, the president of our board, I think that she should be more prepared when it comes to our meetings, not be looking at her papers constantly, highlighting or any of that matter. Because when people are up here in the podium speaking, you don't give them your attention. You're concentrating on something else, and it seems like you have no interest on what they have to say. The principal of the middle school was just speaking and receiving this award for this teacher, and you were too busy with the paperwork in front of you. I'm sure that you can't even summarize what she said because you were not paying attention. And I think that since you're asking for respect, it's only fair that you give us, the community members, parents, that same respect by looking at us as we speak, paying attention to what we have to say. You can always go back and take notes. They post these meetings on YouTube. If you really want to take notes, you can go back and do that. Also, I've been looking at how different boards, school districts boards are run their board meetings. And when it comes to doing a roll call vote, they always have either the secretary or the superintendent do the roll call. And I think that should be something that our district should implement as well. It will be less biased when it comes to getting a vote. And they usually do it randomly. It's not the same person every time to start the votes. That's it for me. Thank you.
Next regular board meeting, October 14, 2021. Superintendent report, Ms. Green.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank the staff, students, and the community for a very warm welcome. I feel very welcomed at every school site that I've been to. And I had the opportunity to see some of our virtual back to school nights, and that was very successful. I wasn't quite sure how that was going to go doing that virtually, but our teachers and principals did a fine job with that. We also are going to be utilizing Parent Square to let the community know about upcoming board meetings. And you may have seen the last Parent Square update that we sent, that we have a new look to our agenda. We are doing some of those changes to make it a little easier for the public to understand, condense it a little bit, and provide summaries on items that will be voted upon, so the public has an opportunity to see the summary. I also had the opportunity to attend Shirley Lane's Student of the Month Assembly. Mr. Mack did a fabulous job. I think I'm going to hire him to announce or maybe DJ for one of my parties for my kids, because he did a fabulous job. Tons of energy there. I had the opportunity to attend the Migrant Parent Orientation Night, and there was a lot of good information provided to parents, and the migrant staff was very receptive to accommodating our parents during COVID and some of the challenges that we're facing there. And so I was very proud to see how that department's willing to come together and provide opportunities for our families. And I look forward to working with Migrant, and I know that they just had their nominations for PAC, and I'll be looking forward to going to that first meeting. On September 7th, we had our FAST and Migrant After School program start. And what I try to do is I try to have like a focus when I go to a campus. And when I visited Shirley Lane the other day, I wanted to see how our teachers were doing on the long-term independent study. And that's a virtual platform. And I was amazed at some of the things that they were able to do with those kids. They did a really, really good job. They kind of took the ball and ran with it. And so I know that there's a lot of work that went into it last year. And I know that we have many of our teachers who are on the Canvas team and who are diligently working to update the curriculum. And again, was very amazed and proud to see how well the students and teachers were doing with that platform. Again, thank you for the very warm welcome.
Board report.
Nothing to report from me.
Nothing for me.
Okay. Provision internship permit, Ms. Green.
Tonight, we're asking the board to approve a provisional intern permit for Maria Garibay. This is a very special provisional intern permit. Maria was a paraprofessional at Shirley Lane, and I'm proud to say that we are now going to, hiring her as a teacher. So that means she's continued her education and her commitment to the district. And I respectfully ask that the board approve the provisional intern permit.
I would like to make that first motion to approve.
Okay.
My playground voice. Second.
Okay, roll call. Lawson,
Aye.
Cornell,
Aye.
Tapia,
Aye.
Fermis and I. Motion approved. Consent section 812.
I would like to ask for warrant number 447598868 be voted on separately. Four, 9868. I would like for it to be voted on separately.
Do I have a first motion? Okay, do I have a first motion to approve the agenda without the warrant 447986? 4475 9876. Okay, do I have a first motion to remove it?
You don't have no.
To pass it
Right, so it's to pass.
without
without the
four
words.
four seven five 9876. Do I have a first motion?
I'll make that first motion.
Do I have a second? Okay, it fails.
No, she just needs a minute, so. Not quite yet.
There, Miss Lawson, I believe, needs a minute to see what, she's probably looking at the item or whatnot.
So,
Can I have a 5-minute break?
no, this is your bit. It's fine. Trustee Cornell, if you could tell us what page and maybe what the amount is for so that all trustees can pull that up. Or maybe the amount?
Yeah, it's for the AMLO account.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Miss Lawson, I would like to vote on it separately. That's what I'm asking for. And I made the first motion to approve that item with the 447598868 removed.
Second. Roll call, Lawson? Aye. Permiso, no. Cornell?
That's an aye for me.
Tapia?
Aye.
Okay,
So now we need to go ahead and for discussion.
so we're open for this, to discuss this item. Cornell?
Okay, I want it removed. I don't want to be any part of it. I didn't ask for AMLO to be here, so I'm not going to vote on something that I don't approve of. That is why.
Well, it's there, so we still have to take a vote. So we can vote on that one item. We need a first and we need a second. to have that one item.
Okay, I would like to approve it.
No, you have to ask for.
Do I have a motion to approve that item? 447598676. Do I have a first motion? I put the first motion. Do I have a second
This is the motion for what,
to
please?
approve it?
To
the AMLO.
separate that item?
No, to approve it.
So this is a motion. We have a first motion to approve
To approve it.
the warrant that was removed.
This is
And
for the OLMO.
yes,
right?
it is.
A
I
third
put the
person?
first motion. Do I have a second?
We needed
We have
someone.
a 2-2, right? Or 3-3-1.
So we don't have a vote yet. What we do is we have a first motion to have to
But we
vote on
did-
the item.
I thought we just voted.
We voted on every item except for that
Oh.
warrant.
But now we can
Yeah.
approve it, yeah. So do I have a second motion?
Second motion.
Roll call, Lawson,
Aye.
Permis and I, Cornell,
That's a no for me, and that was to
Lawson?
approve it, right?
oh, Tapia,
Aye.
okay, you pass? Okay, so now.
So I think if.
Yes. Please.
Miss Lawson, Miss Lawson, that was to approve to pay it,
To pay them,
to pay them.
do we have an alternative? As to not to pay them? Can you tell me why we have an alternative?
What is the alternative?
I know when I was looking at this the other day, it was like $17,000
Yeah, it's quite a large sum, and
for 1 month.
I didn't approve, I was not okay with that being used for board
So-
personal use, which is the reason that AMLO is even here, because it's been used for board members' personal use, so I don't approve that, and that's not, it's not okay that we're taking money from our children for board personal use. It should come out of the board, the board members that use it for their personal use. They should be paying it, not the district.
Are we, okay. A12 consent section. Oh, we did, yeah. Okay. So now we are doing A13. Request to approve section. Resolution 2022-03. Ms. Green?
We're bringing forth a resolution 202203. It is a censure agreement, and the superintendent recommends that you approve as presented.
Do I have a first motion?
Second
First-
motion.
Okay, first motion, second motion, roll call. Lawson?
Aye. Aye.
Okay,
President Rios, right?
Before we continue on with this, and I believe a lot of us are on board, but how about we elaborate to what has been done for the public to be aware?
it's not a, it's a voting item.
It can still be discussed, Mrs. Rios. That's common practice.
So I think what we just need to do, what we'll go ahead and get a first and a second, and then we'll have discussion.
Well, I said first.
Okay.
Tapia
Why can't we
second.
have discussion
Let's do
prior
roll
to?
call. Lawson?
No. We're not at roll call.
No?
All right, so let's,
Do you want to discuss something, Cornell? Or talk about, or?
Okay, can we elaborate on what we're doing so the community is aware of what we're doing? That's what I'm asking for, and I'm sure the community would appreciate it.
No, you may address the board on this particular item. The time limit does go into effect. So we do have Ms. Brown taking the time limit, but you may address the board on this item.
Hi, my name is Pam Padilla. I think the problem is that this censure has been on the board documents for a long, long time. And I know that Mrs. Rios at one of the board meetings said she would like to have it amended to for training for Palmer, which doesn't make any sense since that was one of the main recommendations for the censure itself to begin with. So I don't understand what the conflict was between approving it months ago to approving it now, unless you have made changes to this document that doesn't hold Palmer accountable or Mr. Mullen accountable for his actions. As an employee of this district, I feel like we have been ignored and that the bullying has continued for months upon months for the people who filed claim against them. And Mr. Tapia and Mrs. Rios have been on Palmer's side this whole time. Whether they understood what the recommendations were from the censure, they have totally ignored it. So what I would like to know is what changes were made, because I know there were changes that were made to the censure that would make them want to approve it, because in my opinion, they probably made changes that don't hold him accountable for his actions. And what we wanted was him to be taken off the board to seek training and come back, but not be able to make any decisions regarding the board, because up to this point, they have made some horrible decisions to represent our district. Horrible in the numbers of thousands of dollars that should not have been spent at all. And they seem to think it's okay to take from this. I just recently found out I'm an employee of this district. I work in the print room. We have no money to replace printers that are 10 years old because there's no money, because they keep spending it. I'm sorry, but that's just the fact of it. You know, and then the sports programs are going to be cut because of it. Teachers' aides are going to be cut because of it, because they keep spending money that is selflessly spent on their own. And for her to not do her job as a president of this board and to pass it off onto other people. Yeah, and she is still looking, not listening. In my opinion, they don't represent our school in a good manner. And I'm sorry, I've been here for 15 years and I have never in my life seen a board act the way that they're acting. And they use it to their advantage to bully people and to make them scared. And Palmer is the biggest one of that. He has gotten, don't sit there and raise your eyebrows to me and shrug no, because you know it's the truth. You know it's the truth, and you're a big enabler for that. Big enabler. So keep spending the money like you're spending it, and pretty soon the state's going to come in and they're going to take over and all of you guys will be gone. And I don't care if I lose my job. I don't care. I can get work anywhere. It doesn't matter to me. I love my school district. I love the kids that are in it. I love the teachers that are in it. But some of the board, no, have no respect for them, none whatsoever. So just let us know what the changes were in the censure, and then see if you vote for it, because I doubt you will, because you think he was innocent in all of this, because it wasn't you that was bullied.
Do I need to do anything besides say my name? To be able to do the public speaking, because I didn't fill out a card.
No, you can address the board on this matter. We just hold you to the time limit.
5 minutes.
But we do need your name.
My name is Lisa Smith. I'm a teacher at Fairfax Junior High, and that's how I'm a member of this community. Mrs. Rios, that's Maritza Pineda. She's a parent in this district. She talked to you about the way you don't pay attention to parents, and I just watched you for 4 minutes read papers. For 4 minutes on that timer, you read papers while someone was talking to you. That is the height of disrespectful, not to me, but to the person who was talking to you, to Pam Padilla, who doesn't have kids and going to school here anymore, but used to and works here. Go back to your papers. I am furious, as Pam is. 2 years ago, I discovered that the windows in my classroom were broken. For 2 years, I have put in school dude requests. Thanks to Jonathan, they were fixed this year. After being told for 2 years, I'll pull them up and show it to you, that there was no money. And you voted, sorry, not you two ladies, you voted for $17,000 more to go out to attorneys for Palmer. After spending, how many thousand was it on that investigative report? 40, 60, so 80. I could do a lot with $100,000. That's 2 years my salary. And you spent 2 years of teacher's salary to investigate this guy. Even if you don't believe all the other stuff he did, maybe you want to read the section that the investigator wrote, giving 6 different examples of lies he told during the investigation that they were able to prove were false. And you back him by voting for him every time. And you do too. Shame on both of you.
Maria Hernandez. One more time. I can't believe that they just voted on spending $17,000 to be using it on yourselves. ¿Por qué, señor Tapia? Cuando ese dinero debe ir a los estudiantes. $17,000 para personal. No, pues yo también quiero el puesto. Para sentarme ahí, que me estén pagando sin hacer nada y me paguen aseguranza mientras de que los estudiantes están batallando y sus familias. What a shame and embarrassing. This is like a circus. You guys don't have any, after the mother sit here in front of you and cry her eyes out, telling you how the person that is not here, I don't know what reason he is not here, that he had something to do with his son dead. After all the people around our neighborhood are saying that he is a person that is not well trusted. They can't believe he's sitting on a board. And when you voted yourself to be a president and sitting there, you shouldn't know what you were getting yourself into, or you're just hungry for power. If you don't know how to do your job, it's okay. Get the training you need. Tiene un poquito de vergüenza. Ten los huevos de ser una mujer 100% y defender para lo que está sentada ahí. You should be ashamed of yourself. Every penny that you're spending on personal use, I don't know who's giving you that money. And I cannot believe that people are saying that they don't have things for school. She doesn't have a printer to print papers. But you do have $17,000 for personal use? I can't believe it. No wonder people want to sit here instead of resigning because they get all the perks. Because it's really sad that the community is not able to come or doesn't care about coming. But if they knew exactly what's going on, you would have been stoned. But it's not my job to convince them anymore. Things will come up. And I'm gonna leave it up to God because I hope you can sleep at night. Because you're gonna be elected maybe next term, probably. And we'll see if you get to be elected. You know, I hope you can live with yourself for the decisions you're making. And you don't learn, you keep making comments. If you don't like what we have to say, just get off. When are you gonna learn to be respectful? That's how you earn people's respect. Everything that has been said about Palmer, and you guys are still defending him. Every month you get a chance, and you're still doing the same mistakes over and over again. It's very sad.
That's okay. Okay, so once again, Maritza Pineda. And Ms. Green, just so you know, the timer's up there because I see you reaching out for your phone. All I want is, if possible, for that censor, if the board does elaborate on what has been done, like Ms. Coronel requested, as a taxpayer, a community member, parent, I would like to know what's going on with our money. Because I know that my property tax is gonna go up and it's not gonna come out of their pockets, it's gonna come out of my pocket. And to know that that money is going straight to their pockets because they don't wanna pay for their personal attorneys is really, really upsetting. Because that's taking away from kids' education and sports. Now, if kids wanna join sports, the parents are probably gonna have to pay for their uniforms or stuff for them to be able to participate. And it's gonna limit a lot of our kids because I'm sure you know the community you are in. Our community is lacking funds. Majority of our parents are farm workers. They go out there to work so that their kids can have a better education, not so that our board members can pay for their attorneys. I know that my neighbors, they go to work early in the morning, 3 in the morning, they're leaving. They don't come back till like 6, 7 p.m. to rush to do stuff with their kids, homework, dinner, bathe them, go back to sleep, and then start all over the next day. And you guys should know this because you guys were migrant parents, according to you. So you should know. And to know that their sacrifices, all of our parents out there, their sacrifices, our sacrifices are not gonna eventually be worth it because their kids are not gonna get the education that they deserve because there's not gonna be any funds. And if our district starts asking parents to contribute, guess what? Our kids are not gonna have the materials they're gonna need to get the education that they deserve. And it's all gonna be thanks to you guys. So please elaborate on what's going on with the censor. And Ms. Rios, if you voted yourself as a president, but if you can't do the job, yeah, roll your eyes because you know it's truth. If you can't do the job, step down. Let somebody else take the position. You can't run the board meeting. You can't run it. It's noticeable to everybody, not just me, everybody. And then you go back, section 12 cents, consent. You already did that. You're wasting our time. We have kids at home that have to do homework, that have to go to school tomorrow. We have families that we have to attend to, and we're here because you're wasting our time because you don't come prepared to this. Do your job. I'm serious, do your job. Stop being a joke.
Mrs. Green, I have 2 hands raised in Zoom and there's 2 minutes left of the 20 on this agenda item.
So if you want to go ahead and just have them be mindful of the time, and you're the one who's letting them in, so I'll let you decide that.
Melissa Guerra, you had your hand raised, you're unmuted. Just to be mindful, there's 20 minutes per agenda item and we have 2 minutes left on this agenda item.
Okay, yeah, mine will be very quick. I just want to refer back to Lisa Smith and Pam, Maritza, and Ms. Maria, how they addressed it to Alma. And even being a parent of your community, it is a very disrespect from Alma to be looking at papers while we are trying to address things. Okay, if you're really interested in reading all those papers, you should read them before your board meeting. And if there is something very important on it, then speak up about it. Don't hide behind a paper because it's not helping. A president should know what they're doing and be able to do their job. And if you can't do it, step down. Thank you. I would like to make a motion if there's a few minutes, or to extend a few minutes for the next speaker.
They put their hand down.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and speak on that since I heard. So if what I'm asking for is to, for those who asked and made the changes, to please elaborate on what the changes are, what was removed, what was added, and so forth. So if it was whoever, whether it was a board member or you, Miss Green, since I see your name is there, I think our community deserves for that to be elaborated on.
Okay, I'm just trying to get it froze, so I'm just trying to open it back up. So what I can tell you is that if you look at number 6, and I'll go ahead and read bullet 6 or number 6 of the resolution. It says the board does hereby remove Trustee Mullen from any committee or leadership position on the board for the 2021-2022 school year, and until Trustee Mullen successfully completes all trainings recommended by the May 22nd, 2021 grand jury report, including on the Brown Act and ethical laws, and demonstrates a commitment to abide by board bylaws, regulations, policies, laws, and suspends Trustee Mullen from representing the district and the board at public functions in any official capacity, including but not limited to school ceremonies, fundraisers, conferences, student events, and community events during the 2021-2022 school year. As I came into this sort of midstream, and so one of the things I can say is that that section was amended to put a time limit of the 2021-2022 school year to include specifically the recommendations of the grand jury. And what was removed was the governance training that was in the original censor.
And why did you feel that was necessary to be removed?
So this was not sort of an individual decision, and what I can say was I believe the thinking behind this, the governance training, was something that trustee Mullen had already completed, but these trainings that were recommended by the grand jury would be done as a board, as a whole, so that we could have specific questions answered as to how the board conducts itself with its bylaws.
One more question, was on this particular censure that's being presented, was there anything that was removed?
Yes, there was a section where it asked that the board evaluate trustee Mullen, but there was not given any, to my knowledge, in any of the documents I've seen, it was not given any sort of rubric or tool on how the board was to do that.
Okay, so I mean, if maybe I'm wrong here, but as a board, I believe we're supposed to hold each other accountable.
Mhm.
So if we have somebody that is obviously not, doing their, I guess I'll say, job in the proper way, or, whatnot, why are we removing something where we have to hold ourselves accountable and we should hold each other accountable? So where is the logic in removing that is my question.
As I said, I believe the main contention is there wasn't a rubric or any sort of guidance on how to do that evaluation.
So why can't we create one?
So that is something that is within your right to ask to do.
Mrs. Green, can I ask who, if it was a board member or yourself that removed the particular item from their censure?
You're putting me in a really tough spot because some of the things that happened were basically like in a closed session. So we can agendize this to have it in a closed session item. But as
So
far as that.
So we can't give the community a response whether it was, if you removed it.
I
then
did not
would-
remove it.
Okay, thank you.
The lawyers told us, remember, the first lawyers told us if we wanted to remove something. No, school legal. Yes, she did.
Again,
School
I am
legal
not,
stated.
I am not on board with anything and if it was with schools legal, I was not there. So I would suggest that anything from closed session, Ms. Rios, you should leave in closed session.
Do I have first motion for action items 1 to 10? Do I have a first motion?
One moment, please. Mrs. Green, if this does not pass this amended one, then we will be back to square one with the original one, correct?
It would depend on what I'm directed by the board to do.
Would that help you, Victoria? It'd help me.
To bring back the previous, the previous
original
censure?
one, yes. And maybe we can make our own rubric to check list of what he has done and completed and followed
agree.
through with.
I agree, Ms. Green. I believe that as a board, we should hold ourselves accountable, and we should definitely hold each other accountable. That's the least we can do for our community.
So I think what we do need to do is we do need to go ahead and complete the item.
So do we have to remove it or?
You still have to ask, or you still have to.
Actually, we don't have to. It can always be removed at the board president's discretion if I'm not.
We can table it.
No.
So you have to complete it. If you decide that you don't want to, you have to ask for.
I mean, if I can say,
I
I have one more comment. I mean, based on the grand jury report, Mr. Mullen technically holds still at this moment a leadership role as board clerk, which is AKA the vice president. That vice president role is a leadership role. Okay, so that right there shows that we are not holding Mr. Mullen accountable for his actions.
If you want to table it, you can table it.
So, okay.
Sorry, what was that, Ms. Rios?
Do you want to table it?
Sure, let's table it
Oh, wait.
and bring back the previous resolution, the
Okay,
original.
And maybe we can make out the rubric to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think that would be too hard.
So you want to table the censor, right?
Well, I understand the need to have this, something with the censure pass, and I understand that and I welcome it. But sweeping it more under the rug is not the way to do it. That's my opinion.
So do we table it?
Yes,
or-
if we can table item 13.1. And I am requesting to bring back the original censure along with finding a way to possibly create some type of rubric to hold the entire board accountable.
Is
And
that a motion?
Is that a motion?
Was that a motion? If it is, I'm
Yes,
seconding it.
yes, ma'am.
And I would like to table,
One thing at a time, Ms. Rios.
do we have the vote or? No? Okay.
You have to read the next one.
Okay. So 13.2, request for approval for retreat, yeah, for school legal.
I'm sorry, what are we doing?
13.2 for school legal. I would like to table that one. Okay, so we have comment in 13.2. Okay, go.
Okay, so it is the recommendation of the superintendent that we reauthorize the use of schools legal. We do belong to a JPA with other districts in Kern County. Schools legal allows myself as well as staff to use a bank of hours in a consortium with other districts. It allows us to call and ask questions that we have on special education, student services, negotiations, and business. It is my recommendation that the board respectfully passes the request.
I would,
I would like to table
I would
it.
like to make the first motion.
I said table it.
What was that? I didn't hear that. I make a first motion.
Do you have any discussion?
I have nothing to discuss about it, but I would like to make a first motion if no one else has a discussion.
Well, for me is that I table it, so I table it. Okay. Do I have a first motion? Okay, Lawson? Roll call? For me, is a no. Cornell?
Aye.
Tapia?
For the legal service, no.
Okay, it fails. I would like
Van a gastar más dinero. Si no
So-
usan eso. No, no es para ustedes.
13.
No, I have,
Three.
I have a discussion to the previous item. We haven't moved on. So basically what I'm saying, we have an interpreter, I forgot, thank you. So basically, Mr. Tapia, what you just did is that you approved for, or you passed, or you've had the motion fail, I'm sorry, for schools legal, okay? Schools legal, again, Mrs. Green mentioned, it's not for your personal use like AMLO, right? It's for the school, for the students, for our, all of the stuff, not for you. And you just let that fail. And you're okay with that? So you're okay with spending more money on a monthly basis
My vote
and
is
taking
no.
away from, okay. No, I just want to make sure. Can you say it again one more time? What was your vote? No?
Okay. 13.3. Request to approve the MOU between USEA and FSD. Do I have a first motion?
So this is an MOU with our classified union, and it covers stipends as well as returning back to school. And the superintendent respectfully asks that you approve this MOU.
Do I have a first motion?
I will make that first
Do I
motion.
have a second? Second. Roll call, Lawson? Cornell?
Aye.
Tapia?
Aye.
Okay, so 4. It passed? I said 4. Yes.
It still passes.
I said yes. Do you want to go individually or can I vote on all of them?
I would think it would be best interest for the community for you to read each one individually.
Public hearing? Sufficient of instruction materials. Do I have a first motion? No. Public, okay. Do I-
So this would be the time for a public hearing if the public would like to comment on the sufficiency of instructional materials.
So each year, always in this, at the September meeting, there's a public hearing that gives an opportunity if any of the community feels that we have a lack of sufficient instructional materials for our students. That hearing is open, needs to be open for at least a minute or more, depending if there's comment. And then we go into the adoption of a resolution, which just the board is assuring that we will have sufficient instructional materials for our students for the 21-22 school year. So right now we have the public hearing open. So if there are any concerns about our sufficiency of materials, you're welcome at this time to make a comment.
So I wonder if Mr. Tapia and Mr. Rios want to make a comment about that. Get rid of funding for that.
Exactly. I'm pretty sure there's not gonna be any funding, especially for sports. My understanding is that there's no money for the students to go and participate against other schools. Why? is the opportunity that the students they've been home for a year and a half. But you guys are spending the money on lawyers? How embarrassing. Yeah, it doesn't matter but to me, sports is part of the curriculum in this school. Right? As physical education, isn't it that part of it? To me, it is. Go ahead. Tell me what you're gonna say.
I have nothing to say. This is a public hearing on instructional materials. And so as such,
Well, for me, physical education is part of the curriculum for students. And they should be able to participate in sports outside their school, against other schools. But there's no money. One of my cousins told me that she's not allowed to do that because they said there's no money. Pero ustedes están votando en abogados, en gastar más dinero, qué vergüenza.
For sufficiency of instructional material, my question is, as things are going on with the pandemic, like all these new cases coming up and all that, if our school was to go back on distance learning, will there be enough funding to send the kids material home? Will we have enough fundings so that our students have the material that they will be needing? Also, we've discussed this in previous meetings of tutoring for students. I think that would qualify for this as well, sufficiency instructional material, since an aid is an instructional material. Do we have enough of those aids to assist our students right now that they're back in school that are having difficulty reading because they didn't get that opportunity to do it with the teacher in school last year? Are the fundings going to be there? Or is Ms. Rios, Mr. Tapia, and Mr. Mullen taking that away from them as well? Please discuss that with us, the community, if the funding will be there. I don't know if you guys will know, but I'm sure Mr. Medina does because he's the one that does financing. Thank you.
And Mr. Medina will be doing a presentation.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Mrs. Delgado from Virginia Avenue Elementary. My question is instructional materials. I'm just wondering, is the district looking at materials for the future and changing our curriculum at all and considering other curriculum that might be more presentable or more kid-friendly or have better resources now that we're doing a lot of it online and there's distance learning and flipped classes and I'm just kind of wondering if we're looking in that direction for more materials to supplement that. I know we have programs that we look at. You guys have been purchasing that, but we've had Reach for Reading now for several years. Excuse me. But have we gone back to Reach for Reading and seeing what they've implemented now that's current curriculum to purchase possibly that would help our students? I don't know how it works, but I just thought maybe we're looking at that resource too, is looking ahead as well as what we have right now, keeping what we have with saving money. So just kind of something to consider. Okay, thank you.
The public hearing is going to be closed at. Okay. Request to approve resolution 2022-01. Ms. Brown?
Yes, I would ask the board to approve the resolution as presented. This resolution just assures that we will have all of the appropriate state adopted curriculum provided to our students. So this is referring to materials that have been state board approved and that our board has adopted per the cycle in which they come out through the CDE. And so that's what this resolution is assuring, that we have all those materials available to our students throughout the 21-22 school year. And we just had 3 Williams visits that actually, that's why they come, they look and they monitor those state adopted materials. And all 3 schools had 0 findings and found us to be sufficiently supplied with materials. So I would ask that the board approve the resolution as presented.
Do I have a first motion?
I so move to approve it.
I'll second.
Roll call. Lawson,
Aye.
Cornell,
Aye.
Tapia,
Aye.
Permias and I. Request to approve resolution 2022-00. Do I have a first motion?
Fair motion.
Oh, Mr. Medina, can you please come and elaborate? Okay.
Alrighty, the GAN limit is something that we're required to acknowledge and pass a resolution on every year. The GAN limit itself is an antiquated piece of legislation. It was implemented back in the 70s. Basically gave public agencies an appropriation limit that they couldn't spend more than this figure. And the calculation for this limit has continued to increase much more than the actual revenue that we've received since when it was first started. So for years, I couldn't tell you the last time that we even came close to meeting this limit, but I can tell you this year, we are under that threshold and projected to be under the threshold for the foreseeable future. So that's the overall gist of this item. I just recommend approval.
Do I have first motion?
Yes, I'd like to make that first motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call. Lawson,
Aye.
Cornell,
That's an aye for me.
Tapia,
Aye.
Permias and I. Approval, a motion approved. Approval of 2021. Mr. Medina. Auto action.
All right, thank you, everybody. So I'm going to be covering the unaudited actuals for this past school year that just completed. So the next slide, really what the unaudited actuals are is a look back at the culmination of how we did in a financial basis. All the revenue, all the expenditure entries have all been made. We're now dealing no longer with estimates. Everything is now actuals. So now we've established ending fund balances, reserve percentages, things like that. So I'm just here to report on that. The board will be required to make a motion at the end of this presentation. So the next slide, I'm just going to be referencing this board over there. So this slide represents the budget cycle. I just wanted the board to know where we're at and where we're going to be headed in the upcoming months. So you'll see we're here in September going over the unaudited actuals. In December, I'll be bringing the first interim for the board to review. That's going to be this current school year's first mid-year look at our financial status. In January, the governor is going to be releasing his initial budget proposal for next school year. Shortly after that, in March, I'll bring the second mid-year financial review, the second interim, again to the board for approval. Shortly after that, in April, I'll begin formulating, crafting next year's LCAP budget, things like that. Then in May, the governor is going to be releasing his May revision, which is what we're going to use to make the final tweaks to our budget and LCAP and really dial it in before it's brought to the board in June for approval again. And the cycle continues to start then July, August, September happens, and we'll be continuing along. So just wanted an update. What's changed since the July or since I brought the estimated actuals back in June? We're now closed. Everything is done. All the year-end entries have been posted. Our ending balances are finalized, like I mentioned earlier. And the last little bit is we received final guidance from the state and federal government on how to treat and account for those one-time COVID monies, as that did change since I did speak to you last back in June. So from here, we're going to talk about the nuts and bolts. We're going to be looking at revenue first and how we ended the year. So overall, unrestricted revenue came in at about $16,500 greater than what I expected and forecasted back in June, which is essentially hitting the nail right on. LCFF revenue was up by $145,000 just due to prior year state aid adjustments. Other state revenue was up $56,000, very nominal, just for one-time apportionments. And our local revenue was down $214,000. That was due to an insurance claim, the Virginia Avenue cafeteria fire. We closed that insurance claim and that project ended up coming in under budget. So we also reduced the revenue line for that. But overall came in $16,000 off of where I said, which was, right on the money. Next, we'll cover the unrestricted expenditures. So overall, expenditures came in about $1.5 million below where I was expecting. And the main driver of that is in the employee benefit section, you'll see about $1.2 million less than what I said. The reason for that is that, I was preaching earlier or explaining earlier, I'm sorry, that I was going to propose and it was approved to fully fund our OPEB. That's all. It's fulfilling all the promises that we made to our employees. You give us X number of years and we will cover your health benefits when you retire until Medicare age. And so this year, our investments were fantastic. They went so well that I no longer have to make this $1.2 million contribution that I had originally budgeted. And so I'll touch on what we're going to do with those funds later, but that was one thing that was just absolutely fantastic and unexpected. So that's one thing I'm very proud of. Other than that, that leaves about $275,000 in budget variance. And a lot of that was just due to me leveraging the one-time COVID monies. When I'm closing the books, I'm going line by line, seeing what expenses can I move over are allowable to allow me to spend it on these one-time funds. And so that's what I did. So overall, we came in about $1.5 million under budget for expenditures. Now, this next slide, it's going to be looking at unrestricted transfers out and contributions. I think it might be the one just before that. There it is. So I'll cover contributions first. They came in about $295,000 less than anticipated. And very similar to the other expenditures, I was able to, any excess expenditures over what I was anticipating, I was able to leverage the one-time funds to cover that. So that's where that savings is coming from. And you'll see a 1.775, so about $1.8 million I have transferred out, and that is going to our capital facilities fund. And the reason I do that is that that's our one-time savings. And how I arrived at that number is we have the $1.2 million that we were already planning to commit to our OPEB. What I decided and what this unaudited actuals proposes is kind of rerouting that money and spending it on facilities. We don't receive money from the state for facilities. It's the most difficult money and some of the most expensive money to get. This is the money that we end up, going through bond issuances. It's very expensive. It raises property taxes. We have one-time savings, and finding ways to move that over towards facilities is a really big deal, especially considering we're a growing district. There's a lot of things. We're looking at buying land, building a new school. We're in need of a student achievement center, even things down to a bus barn, because, theft is a real thing that we're dealing with. We need something to protect our vehicles, and we want to take care of them, have them last. There are a lot of things that our district needs, and rerouting these one-time dollars to facilities is just such a smart thing to do with this one-time money. Another piece I think I didn't touch on. So that was the 1.2 million, how I arrived to the total about 1.8. Every year, we set aside about $575,000 for deferred maintenance to upkeep our facilities. Well, this year, we really had to scale back because there was deferrals. There was no cash to really spend it. We had to hold on, and I explained we were going to get through by the skin of our teeth, and we did. But we did so without allocating any of those dollars to deferred maintenance. So what this unaudited actuals proposes is to move that unspent portion, the portion that wasn't allocated, and move that also over to facilities, and to continue with that intent that, all of this is gonna go towards modernization or a new school and things like that. So that's really the gist of what happened in the budget on a line by line basis. So the next slide, we're gonna look at how we did as a whole, whether we brought in more money or spent more money than we did. And when I came in and presented to the board in June, I said we were going to increase in unrestricted fund balance by about $969,000. And now when I closed the books, we closed about $14,000 off of that. So again, that's a 0.03 variance. Typically, statewide, we're looking anywhere between 2 and 3% is acceptable. I hold myself to a 1, and we were well within that. That wraps, I think that would have been the next slide. No, we finished $14,000 slightly better than what I had originally expected. So from there, I go on to the next slide, and it talks about our ending fund balance as a whole. And this is where I can speak to our reserve percentages. So when I originally came to the board, I backtrack. So when we closed, our unrestricted fund balance totaled about $6 million. As a percentage, that is about 14.6, so just about 15%. As a reserve percentage, and that $6 million represents 3 months of payroll. And that's really right where we need to be. With all the deferrals, we needed every bit of these reserves to get us through. We don't know what the future holds, but this is a place where we really need to be to make sure that our district can sustain any type of bump in the road. When you look at our budget as a whole, both the restricted and unrestricted side, our total fund balance is now increased to about $7 million, just under there, which represents 3.5 months of payroll. What's important about that is that as a reserve percentage, that's 16.96%. And the Government Finance Officers Association is kind of a body that gives recommendations to public agencies, and they recommend 17% as a fund balance or as a reserve percentage. That's where you want to be, and we're now there. That's a very, very good place for us to be. So budgetary and financially, we're very stable right now. One thing I did want to bring to the board's attention is that the state revenue in terms of Prop 98 is doing very well. They're operating in what they call a test 1 category, and that's just determines the calculation that they use to fund schools. But the only thing with that is that on the current path, the state is looking to have a 10% cap triggered and implemented this 2022-2023 school year. And that 10% reserve cap is going to require the board, kind of to set aside funds. And that would be my recommendation is I've kind of explained my position on facilities and where we need to go and things like that. And I recommend that the board protect those reserves. And ultimately at some point during this year, assuming this cap continues to become likely, I would recommend that they be assigned for facilities purposes. But again, I'll continue to keep the board updated. That's just something that's on the horizon that we need to be aware of. I think it's critically important to protect our reserves. That's the only thing that got us through these big deferral waves. If you remember when we went back last July, even June, we were looking at possible budget cuts, and it's those reserves that helped us get through. We were able to do that, laying off no staff. That's something I'm proud of, and I think that's really important for us. So looking ahead, both our auditors and our County Office of Education, they're going to take these unaudited actuals. They're going to be creating audit reports or, providing a response letter to us. I'm looking forward, we'll be receiving those in the next couple of months, depending on when they finish. The first interim, like I mentioned earlier, is the next time I'll be speaking to you. We'll be covered. It's the first financial look into this current school year, and that'll be coming to the board in December. As at this point, we have no cash flow issues that I need to report. Again, we're doing very well. I'm going to continue to monitor the national state economies and really the COVID landscape, because no matter what happens there, we're going to have to modify and adjust our budget and really formulate it in a way that is sustainable. So those are things that I'm going to keep my eye out for. At this time, I recommend the approval of the audited actuals, and I welcome any questions that the board may have.
Is there any questions?
Thorough. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Medina. Okay. Do I have a first motion?
I shall move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call. Lawson,
Aye.
Cornell,
Aye.
Tapia,
Aye.
Permis and I. Motion passed. Request to approve the lease between Community Action Partnership of current and SFSD. Medina? I'm like, where?
Mr. Medina, you might as well
You
just
stay
stay up
there.
here. It's the Medina show right now.
So what this item is we lease 3 portables to the Head Start program here on the junior high campus. This is just a request to approve that lease program. You know, it's a great thing for our community, provides a lot of resources. We have a really good relationship with that group. And it actually generates approximately $60,000 in revenue annually. And this would be over the next couple of years that this would remain in effect. So I recommend approval.
Is there any question? Do I have a first motion?
No questions. I'd like to make a first motion.
Do I have a second?
Second motion.
Lawson, roll call. Cornell,
Aye.
Tapia,
Aye.
Fermi and I. Request to approve the bank account signatures, Medina?
Yes. So this is being brought to the board. We have authorized signers that are able to sign bank checks, things like that. Mr. Coleman was removed. Mr. Andrews has been removed, and we're going to be adding a couple other folks. Mrs. Green is one. And then depending on the new director of nutrition services would be one that we bring in the future. But these are just adding additional authorized signers only of necessary employees to sign bank checks.
If there's any more questions, do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Lawson? Cornell?
Aye.
Tapia?
Aye.
Fermi and I. Request to approve the nutrition service assistant job description.
Okay.
Medina?
So this job description, we work very closely with our union, you know, and our department manager, Mr. Andrews, prior to him leaving. We had some honest conversations about, you know, what does this department need? Because the previous job description, you know, the duties have really changed since the last time it was approved. We've changed eligibility provisions, and the needs of the department have again really changed because of that. So again, we've come to an amicable agreement with both our union and administration to find a job description that really suits the needs of the districts, not only now, but going into the future too. So again, I recommend approval on this one.
If there's any question, I have a first motion?
I have no questions. I'll make that first motion.
Do I have a second?
Second motion.
Roll call. Lawson? Cornell?
Aye.
Tapia?
Aye.
Fermi and I. There's nothing for closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Medina.
Thank you. Great job. So do I have a first motion to close session? No, to adjourn. No. No. Do I have a first
So
motion?
when will we be discussing bringing on the original censure motion and the rubric?
Do you want it to be put in the agenda for both?
For the next agenda?
That's what you're
Yes,
requesting?
that's what I had requested previously when we were discussing the item. I already had made that request. Thank you, Mrs.
then
Green. I
we
heard
will-
you. Okay. But you can repeat it so the rest of the community can hear.
Can you repeat it for them? Thank you, trustee Cornell. We'll be putting this on the next board agenda for review.
Yeah, we have to talk to the.
Thank you, Mrs. Green. I appreciate you.
Do I have a first motion
For what
to
exactly?
close the meeting,
To adjourn.
to adjourn?
First motion.
Do I have a second? Second, roll call, Lawson, Cornell,
That's an aye for me.
Tapia,
Aye.
okay, for me, and I.
Thank you for everyone.
Thank you for everybody.